to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting, March 25th, 2025. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Meet with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, auditor.
Good morning. Just plugging away, business as usual. I have a couple agenda items, but not a whole lot new to report at this time.
Okay,
Sarah.
thank you.
NCOA.
I was gonna bring that up.
Oh.
I guess I could bring, okay. So, I gave the newspapers, the NCOA, news release that I put out. I posted it in the papers and on the radio. We have no activity cards that will be getting mailed out April 1st for elections, for all the voters. So it just tells you that basically, please fill them out and respond so we can get the voter logs cleaned up. Make sure your addresses are correct, those kind of things. It is free to send them back, you don't have to pay for postage. But this, if you guys want a copy, I can give it to you as well. But this explains exactly what it is, to make you active in the stay registered, so.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So what does it take to become inactive?
So and it states on here too, that if you didn't participate in the 2024 general, that it would transfer you to inactive. They kind of changed it. Last year was if it was the last two generals, they made you, canceled you. But inactive status is if you have not voted, or say you have like returned mail and we haven't been able to get stuff to you, it's, you are inactive until you come in and fill out a new form, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Colin Gerst, IT department.
Good morning, just keeping business, as usual, just keeping busy and nothing new to report, so.
Rodney Gleason, maintenance.
Good morning. Really nothing new to report this morning.
Okay, thank you. Jared Lasker, regional planning.
Pretty much the same thing, definitely busy. The auditor's office can attest, we've had a number of interesting plating questions coming in lately, subdivisions or otherwise. I do have a couple items on the agenda today, and apart from that, I don't have anything else to report.
Cheryl, how's the budget director doing? You got anything to report?
Things are going along well, so it's been wrapped up, and I want to thank the paper for
Okay.
doing the articles on the letters that went out, because it has definitely slowed down the phone calls, so it's not been near as bad as I thought it would be, so thank you.
It did not slow down the returned mail though.
Right.
And I've got a box full.
Janelle, treasurer's office.
Good morning. Keeping busy. One final reminder, last reminder, second half property tax payments are due Monday, March 31st. They can pay online up until 11:59 that evening. We have the drop box out here till 4:30, and by mail, as long as it's postmarked by March 31st or before, that's sufficient as well, so.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Shannon, emergency management. I think I seen you Saturday, didn't I?
Yes, so I was out at Day of the Child. It was a great event. There's a lot of kids out there. But I do have a couple of things to talk about. So we've had a burn ban countywide. That will be lifted as of 10 a.m. today. I met with the fire chiefs, and we feel that with the incoming weather that we're expecting and the grassland fire index that we see, we've gone from a high fire danger to a moderate danger, that we feel it's okay to lift that. So as of 10 a.m. today, that will be lifted. And then there will be a statewide tornado drill tomorrow at 10 a.m. So you will hear the sirens tomorrow at 10 a.m. We encourage everyone to practice their emergency plans. It provides everyone the opportunity to practice and see what needs to be changed, and just provides that opportunity. So yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Natalie, how's the reporter's office?
Good
Morning, everything's well in the recorder's office. Just a reminder that boat renewals are, you do have to renew those by April 30th. We do have over 3,000 boats that are currently renewed in Des Moines County, so still have lots of people to get in to renew those. Otherwise, there will be a $5 penalty. Otherwise, everything's going good, nothing new to report.
I had a question from a friend on that. Do they have to come to your office to do that, or is there anywhere online that can be done?
You can go online and do it. Let's go to the recorder's website,
Okay, so.
or you can do it in the mail.
Okay, thank you.
I did send out email notices to all the email addresses that we had on file with the DNR.
Thank you. Principal, how's the public health?
We're also keeping busy. We had the Board of Health meeting last week. We talked about the analytics, so the Board of Health has a Des Moines County Board of Health website, and that continues to get more and more traffic. Also talked about last year's mosquito surveillance program. We've been doing this now 8 or 9 years, and each year we continue to trap and catch the Aedes albopictus mosquito, which is the mosquito that could potentially carry the Zika virus. We do have it in our county. None of those that they've trapped or that we've trapped have ever been positive for the Zika virus, but always encourage people, since there is a number of those mosquitoes out there, to wear their mosquito repellent when they're out and about. We also are CMS certified, so we talked about our annual report for the year, talked about the numbers as far as our home health and those type of things. And also talked about under future agendas, the HHS system snapshot came out in January, and it kind of gives a little snapshot of Des Moines County. And some of the highlights was we continue to have a shortage of primary care physicians in our area, as well as dental care providers, as well as mental health providers. Those are all shortages that they're looking at. A couple of things that I thought would really show where the county was as far as economic things. They noted that 14.6% of the county residents live below the rate of poverty, and the 5,190 people in our county are experiencing food insecurity. So I think thought those were kind of things that we continue to monitor. So and things that the Board of Health obviously looks at and tries to put things in place to mitigate those situations.
Can I ask a dumb question? When you trap mosquitoes, can you look at one mosquito and I'm asking, I've been in the South where you've got little tiny mosquitoes and then you got big striped and it looks like they can carry off. But can you tell by if there's a mosquito on your arm whether it's?
So these mosquitoes go to Iowa State University and then they look at them. So they've always told me the ones that Aedes albopictus have the shiny wings. I have to tell you, they all look the same to me, but if you see one with a shiny wing, that would be an Aedes albopictus.
Okay.
I without my glasses on, barely can see that, can't stretch that far, but then, like I said, for me, they all look the same.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Carter, how's secondary roads going?
Good morning. We're busy as all get out, but that's all right. That means things are happening. I'll run down kind of a quick list. First, I'll start on stuff that's not related to us, but it impacts residents in our county, the Highway 61 project. I will remind you, there's a couple closures coming up. We will do press releases this week. There is a project meeting this morning at 9 o'clock, which I have an employee that attends on a regular basis. One of our superintendents has been attending those now for years and years, as long as the project's been going on. So once we confirm everything is a go, which last we were told next Monday, the 31st, is the closure for both Mediapolis Road and for 260th Street east of Highway 61, current Highway 61. Both of those locations will be closed, and right now we're being told for a majority of the construction season. I do know for sure that in the plans, the Mediapolis Road needs to be open by mid-September. It's in there's a date in there for like September 15th or something like that. So we sent out a few letters more related to the 260th closure, the Mediapolis Road closure. There's only a couple houses right there, and otherwise that has so much traffic. I don't know, other than the press release, how we would reach very many people. So there'll be some adjustment period there. But anyway, those closures are coming up as part of the 260th closure at the very far north end of the county. The DOT is paying for some, more like a tier 2 type dust control in front of some houses and intersections and stuff. That's kept my guys hopping because this has all come about in fairly short notice, and so we're getting that all marked out, and tomorrow the contractor's showing up to do some of that dust control up in that area. So so that's all going on. And then on top of that, we've got a couple bridges closed, as you guys know. They're certainly making headway with the demo on North Gear and on Danville Road. As always, anytime you do that, there's a few unforeseens, but in general, things have moved along well. We had a couple new computers in the office for Becky and Adriana, so thanks to Colin and his guys. That transition went pretty darn smooth, and they're rolling along, and I think any headaches they've had, I think they got resolved pretty quickly. So thank you to that, and for that, Colin. Still waiting on confirmation again, but I believe next week there's a good chance that the patching crew will move in on Highway 34. And then it won't be all that long after that, and they'll move in on 99. So I'll remind you of that again next week. But there is a chance that you'll see work starting up next week on patching on 34, which will be a one-way dynamic. And we're hauling rock like crazy with the mild weather, and right now we're only rocking the tier 1 roads because we're trying to get dust control for the dust control program scheduled at the end of April. But that becomes a math problem because you can only haul so much rock in a day, kind of a thing. So the guys are turning loads as fast as they can. We finished a big culvert at the north end of the county. That was the culvert that came from the one down the bottoms that we removed, reused that, which is a good deal. That crew wrapped that up, and now they're back on Pleasant Grove Road on that culvert we worked on last winter, basically until winter actually chased us out, and they're back in trying to get a little bit of fence built and get some shaping done, because one of the landowners needs to use their pasture for cattle. So yeah, and I'm missing some stuff because we have plenty of other stuff going on, but I guess that's the high points. So
Okay, thank you.
yep.
Okay, I don't think I missed anybody, so correspondence. Seeing none here.
Matter of fact, I just got it.
Just got it.
I just got it. This is to the Des Moines County Auditor. You need to take a survey on how many seniors on SS, I assume that means Social Security, are paying taxes, and how many people have moved away. We seniors cannot afford to foot the bill for everyone else. I haven't had a child in the school district since 1981, and that was only 1 year. Seniors got a small raise this year. And the medical profession and insurance all immediately raised rates. Plus utilities, gas, groceries, etc. We go backwards, have less to live on each year. Maybe someone ought to reevaluate their budgets and cut back to what is only necessary, like we have to. I apologize. When we seniors get extra health problems and expenses, we have to cut back. Also, maybe the schools ought to teach better subjects and go back to basics. Maybe the kids will learn how to survive better in the future. God bless. Take these thoughts to the meeting. My house is 85 years old and it needs repair. Consider the condition of our street from Main to 6th. Has not been any improvements since I've been there, 23 years. Yet they can build a bike path and redo other newer streets and ignore the park and bridges on Main Street. I'm not gonna read the name, but there was a request that we put that in the read that. So that's all I have.
I read, yeah, I'll stamp it.
I have a public input when you guys are done.
But this is, should have sent this to the city, because it's all more about city than what it is county.
Well, but you probably have, you get calls a lot of people think that there's one person to reach out and take care of, so I get calls about
Yeah.
things about the schools, about the cities, and, so.
Okay, moving on, discussion vote. We'll set a date for the, county rural residents spring cleanup. Looking to me like the
April 7th through June 7th.
April 7th through June 7th.
Motion to approve those dates.
Second. I would like to tell you that, some of the stuff that, Moines County, residents, the following items is part of the recycling, like bicycles, tin roofs, metal cabinets, bed springs, swing sets, metal fence, other metal items, soft chairs, and, clothing not suitable for donation, rug, carpets, so.
If I could interrupt and apologize
Yeah,
again.
no, go ahead.
I got a text from the sheriff, he said nothing newsworthy is going on at the sheriff's department, and they have 11 prisoners out of county.
11
Did
out.
he have a total?
No, he didn't,
Okay.
just said 11 out of county, which is down, which is good.
Now we have resolutions, requests.
Hold on, I gotta,
Oop.
Tom made a motion, you seconded, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so Tom Broker,
Yes,
Jim Geary.
yes.
Okay.
so that's another apology I owe everybody, I'm up to 3 now.
Okay, now we can move forward, sorry. At least you're holding yourself accountable.
Yeah, already at the hat trick for apologizing. Apologies.
Okay, we have a resolution request for zoning amendment to rezone, 10673 Memorial Park Road from R1 single and 2 family residential to C1 general commercial.
Give a little background there, that I sent you a staff report in more detail, but basically this is a request that a property owner, fairly large property on Memorial Park Road, was interested, had a business partner that they were looking to establish a small used car lot on a property where the owner lived, where one of them lives, and so they requested, they had reached out to me about the possibility of what permits would be required, and when informed that it was not allowed under the current zoning, they requested the rezoning, since that was the only option, but there was some significant opposition from neighboring property owners, and there was, when they had the zoning commission meeting and a public hearing 2 weeks ago, there were a significant number of neighbors present and presented concerns about the possible impact of a business in that area. And ultimately, the commission ended up voting unanimously to recommend not denial of the rezoning request based on the fact that it would, based on the evidence provided, it could conceivably alter the established residential character of the area, and also could constitute the definition of spot zoning, where it would benefit one property owner likely at the expense of surrounding property owners. So while it was recommended for denial, we ultimately, the standard procedure there is that it's ultimately up to the Board of Supervisors to make the final decision. So that's why we bring this forward to you today, is for, you concur with that decision to make a final vote on that. So do you have any questions?
Well, no, I don't have any questions, but that's why we have the board, do this stuff.
Right.
And I have to go along with what they recommend for the county,
Right.
so.
I've got one question. Is the gentleman, were you here to speak to that issue? Oh, okay.
And I should note, I've actually spoken with one of those gentlemen in the past week, and it sounds like they're essentially have other accommodations for establishing this business at where the other gentleman lives in a different part of the county, so it sounds like they've essentially moved on already, so.
I read the report, I didn't know why that gentleman was there, I thought perhaps he was
Okay.
here to speak to that. So if there isn't, I'll make a motion to deny that
Second.
request.
Sarah?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. Vice Chair.
You.
Okay, moving on, we have a resolution, 2025-17, the final plat for the Bill Knapp, Green Site subdivision.
Alright, so it might initially look somewhat complicated, but it's actually pretty simple here. So this is a one lot subdivision, a little bit north of Mediapolis on 120th Avenue. Basically, you've got a situation where you've got two different members of the same family owning farmland on either side of the road. On one side, they've already put in a couple of grain bins, and then the other family member is intending to have another grain bin put in, but to serve the property, the farmland on the other side of the road. And they determined that they need to have that under their own, the land under their own name. And so that's why this piece is being carved off, so it would be under the same ownership as the property across the street. So this lot will not comply with the minimum lot size or width requirements of the subdivision ordinance. That's 0.3 acres, where the minimum is just under 1 acre, and it's 80 feet wide, where the minimum is 120 feet wide. However, in consulting with the health department, those requirements are generally related to the suitability of a lot for a septic system serving a property. Because in this case, it's intended solely for a grain storage facility with a truck access point and turnaround, there would be no need for the on-site septic system. So the health department ultimately was okay with the idea of allowing an exception in this particular instance based on the type of use proposed. So with that in mind, we have included a couple of conditions on the resolution, specifically addressing those two items in the ordinance that would need to be waived: the lot width and lot size. This is also within the 2-mile review area of the city of Mediapolis, and they have since submitted a resolution waiving formal approval of that from their meeting last week. So that's all I have for that one. Recommend approval.
What's your recommendation?
Recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second? Sarah Doty?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. We'll sign these after the meeting for you, Jared, okay?
Yep.
Now we have a request for abatement of taxes for partial 10-35-252-12 in the city of West Burlington. Says here, Des Moines County Supervisor, on January 10, 2025, the city of West Burlington required the partial 10-35-252-12 lot N. There were no probate taxes collected, and there is currently $642 due for the second installment of the 2023 real estate taxes. Also enclosed is the warranty deed showing partial 1035-252-12 Lot N transfer from Westland Mall Realty Holding LLC to the city of West Burlington on January 24, 2025. The city is asking for the second half installment of the 2023 real estate taxes due March 1st, 2025 to be abated, and the 2024 real estate taxes payable 25-26 that will be in August 25 be abated as well. The lot was acquired for the street, and the remainder of the lot will be vacant with no foreseeable plans, and the city is not generating any income from it.
Which way, see if you know anything you want to say. Okay, not really a choice we have anyway.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the abatement.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Now we have a request for the bond project, election hardware software. Who wants to address this?
I will. So our election equipment, usually has a shelf life of 8 to 9 years, and we are on year 9 for the current equipment that we have. It's running rather slow. It takes a while to accept a ballot. Sometimes when you touch the touch screens, they're off a little bit, so you gotta really try to figure out where the buttons are. This last election, we had a lot of problems with the roller sticking and things getting jammed. The motherboards aren't gonna last but another year, so at ISAC last week, I discussed some new equipment with the guys. They will take back our other equipment and give us an allotment for that. So for 17 new OBOs and 15 OVIs, which is the handicap machine that you can use the touchscreen, it's going to be $137,070. They will accept 3 years of no interest payments, and then it's $14,165 a year for our regular maintenance fees and licensing and software. So I am requesting that we move forward with purchasing these items.
Shane and I both saw the equipment at ISAC, and the guy went and explained how it worked, and I asked him embarrassing questions. He handled them very well. So, and we can pay this over 3 years, so and we can put it on this year's bond request, and we have fund balance to cover that. So I would make a motion to approve that request.
I also, gave you ladies copies of what they look like and everything on your, if anyone else wants one, I have some here too.
I will second that. Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sarah, you gotta show me which one of these here you want stamped for sure.
Just the top one, the spreadsheet, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, now we have personnel action. We have 2 for the correctional center. We'll do these 2 together. If I can get mine. We're gonna have to get some of that stuff that the bank's got, you know, you put on your fingers.
Pink
so
stuff.
that you- Make it hard here. Okay, the first one is Peyton Krogemeyer, part-time correctional officer. Leave of absence, military leave, unpaid hours, 77.11. second one is for Angela Dunham, correctional officer. FMLA, unpaid hours, 73.30.
Motion to approve both.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay, now I have two for the conservation. The first one is for Jacqueline Goodman, she's a naturalist. Anniversary, 12-month step increase from $42,806.40 to $44,640.96. The second one is for Derek Hester, conservation tech. Anniversary, 24-month step increase from $45,864 to $47,698.56.
Motion to approve both.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. And we have the minutes for the regular meeting that we had on March the 18th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Is there any other business?
I have none.
I have none. Future agenda items. I have none. None at this time. Committee reports.
I attended the Assessors Conference Board meeting with the rest of the board. We had the public hearing and approval of the assessors budget. And I attended the Copco Board meeting. It was a scheduled meeting without much to do. There was no quorum. So we discussed a couple of reports and that was that. That's all I had.
Okay, I was at the conference board meeting with you and the rest of the board. And I had a early childhood meeting. And we still don't know where we're gonna go on these districts. It looks to me like the state has made 7 districts, and we're in District 7, which takes us all the way up to, we're up into Rock Point. There's the map, I'll let you look at it. We'll be up in Blackhawk County and that. They separated us from Lee County, which we've always been with Lee and Henry, and then they took us away and they put us in with Washington and Henry, and took Louisa and Des Moines. Now they're splitting us off of there.
Did the same thing with mental health districts.
Yep, but that's what they're doing to us, and we still don't know what our budget's gonna be. They haven't come up with it.
You're on a need-to-know basis.
Yep. I guess we don't need to know. And then also I had a South Iowa detention meeting, and for juvenile detention. And Washington County wants to join our group. And so we're going to maybe do a contract with them, with a 2-year contract. It started out, they brought a lawyer down with them, and we took it to
Which county is that?
Washington County. It's up north.
That's not that patent attorney, is it?
No,
Okay.
that's the Haskell County.
Okay. Okay, that's better.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, they've been using Central Iowa. Central Iowa is charges different for different juveniles that go in for different crimes. And they got one bill $20-some thousand. And that set a red light up, so, and ours is, quite a little bit cheaper, so. We voted on that, and we all voted that if their board will accept the contract that they got, and it's in our hands, Lucas Helling is our lawyer until the end of the month. But they're going to be joining us. And, that's all I had. Okay, moving on. Public input. Anybody from the public wants to have anything to say, they can call 319-753-8203 extension 4. 319-753-8203 extension 4. Or email board@dmcounty.com. It'll be board@dmcounty.com, and we'll give you 2 minutes to speak. And meanwhile, anybody in the audience have anything to say?
Well, that would be me.
Would you, you can sit, but
My
state
name's
your
Steve.
name and.
What's that?
State your name.
Okay, my name's Steve Lees, and I'm new to this whole process, so I wasn't sure. I see now it needs to be on the agenda, but I didn't put that in time, but.
Oh, you're
I-
fine.
I
No,
talked
we have
to
the agenda.
Brian here. We're gonna talk about Ferris Lane, and I know that's probably come up multiple times as far as what to do with it, as far as paving and that type of thing. Just for the heck of it, I went out on the GIS system and took a look at all the property values that are on that lane. And there's over $7 million worth of property there. So I'm hoping that could be taken into account as far as some type of work on that road. In a perfect world, we'd love to have the thing paved, but I know that's a long-term project that needs to be planned. I know spring's coming as far as the gravel and having to work with it. And I've talked with Brian, I just talked to him again. And if nothing else, we'd like to at least consider that road for dust control. We've got up to over 12 kids now that walk on that road. When the dust is kicking up pretty good, you know, those kids are walking from the school bus down that road. And so anyway, that's my plea. I'd like to be, at least consider that road for dust control. I know, I think I was talked in the past, and, you know, it's a dead-end road. It didn't have enough traffic on it, that type of thing, but I'd like to have it reconsidered for that. So I don't know if that gets diverted back over to you, Brian.
I can speak to some of that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna cut you guys off if
No.
you have anything to say. Yes, not just you, but I've had these conversations with a lot of folks, and not just on Ferris Lane, other roads. I know Tom was just contacted about dust control from somebody else in a different part of the county. And it's always a topic, especially leading into a summer, which was, last summer, I think, was particularly dusty in my opinion, but then again, they can all be that way depending on where you live. You know, back to the history on Ferris Lane, and I won't go deep into it, but just a quick summary, I guess. I mean, paving of that road's been discussed, asked for and opposed, for that matter, and many times we've done public hearings. It's probably the furthest any road really, as far as the talk of paving and assessment and all that sort of stuff has ever made it. But in the end, there were just too many different landowners on different sides of the issue. But it did go through a process. I thought it was a very important process to go through, and a lot of folks we had a room full down here way back when that was, and it's been a while since that really got going, and I think, ironically, I think it'd be even harder now for the county to be a part of that than it would have been back then, just from the sheer cost of what it costs to do that kind of work anymore and where our budgets are, but it doesn't mean that the conversation can't be had. On the dust control side of it, we do have a dust control program. It's pretty small in the overall scope of our entire county. A little background on that: years and years ago, the Des Moines County had a much larger, more robust program. It was for tree sap. That's what was used. It was a free byproduct from a paper mill in Fort Madison. I don't know how long they had it, but it was in place when I got here, and I remember hating it when I was a kid growing up in this county, because my dad would make me clean the outside of his truck off when that stupid tree sap got on it, because it stuck on like glue. and that seemed to be the favorite task for me to make money when I was a little kid. So it's been a long time, or it was a long time that we had tree sap, and then along came, I guess, change in that industry. That paper mill went out of business, and then basically sold with a no-compete clause, so it was never coming back into that purpose, and Lee County and Des Moines County lost the free product. And I say free, the product itself was free, but we did have equipment at that time to haul it, and so that was our investment in it, was both counties hauled their own sap, we'll call it. And it was very variable as far as quality. You never knew what you were gonna get, how watered down it was gonna be, and all that sort of stuff. So there was a program back then. When that went away, we went a couple years without any dust control in the county. The board at that time wanted to try to do something, and even then, cost was a major factor. So we kind of took, I'm gonna call kind of the peaks. We didn't just do it by traffic count, we didn't just do it by any one particular factor, whether a business was there, anything like that. We brought in a certain level of common sense, I'd like to think, along with other factors. And that's how it boiled down to what we have today. The program itself that we have today, we just talked about this and I can't remember when we put it in place, but it's been in place for quite a while now. Unlike using tree sap back then, we use calcium chloride, mostly because it's maintainable. We can't afford to do more than one treatment, and we need to be able to take care of those roads. Back in the tree sap days, there were some roads that got treated 4 or 5 times a year. And so that different situation. I think, and I'd have to pull out the resolution and the policies. I think that our current program actually, the rules that or whatever you wanna call it, that the board passed back then actually prohibits dead end roads in general from being on the tier 1 portion, which is the full length portion. I think they are allowed on the tier 2s, which is just intersections, curves, and bridge approaches mostly. But the main point of that is the program's never expanded, and what it has done is probably nearly doubled in cost. I'd have to go back to those early days, but I'm guessing that's probably pretty close. And so the challenge to that is we get a lot of these requests, and we've always stood pretty firm on where do you start, where do you stop, how do you expand, and how do you afford it? And I think we all know it's gotten harder and harder. So I have had these conversations with both Ferris Lane folks and other folks. My conversations with a few people on Ferris Lane, I don't think you specifically, but I could be wrong, I can't keep them all straight, is if the landowners wanted to get together and do more of a continuous stretch, we would work with them, but that's not free either. I mean, landowners spend a lot of money on dust control in front of their own residences. I mean, I don't know, I had somebody, well, it depends on your length, but if you do, the shortest length I believe is 400 feet by any company, and of course they're all different costs. I'm not so sure people aren't spending upwards of $700 or $800 just on that, and then if they do longer, obviously it goes up from there. I'd have to double check what the private dust control costs are, but yeah, that's kind of the situation. It's not that they're wrong. There certainly are a fair number of houses, especially towards the end of it. I know that the school bus, just talking to people, not because I've been down there, that there are children, school-aged children down there, and I've heard the comments that they walk on the road, and I've also talked to residents that like to walk on the road and would like the dust controlled. But as of right now, with the policies we have in place, the budget restrictions we have, and just the overall situation, unfortunately, for that dust control to get expanded at this point, it would probably have to be a private investment or expenditure, just with where we are and how we've handled what we have so far.
I think I can give you some numbers to go along with that, Mr. Lees. And I'm sympathetic to what you say, like Brian said.
And him and I have talked before on this. So.
Regularly, you'll get a hold of somebody, provide dust control on there's about 450 miles of gravel road in Moines County. Maybe, what, 130 or 40 of hard road? asphalt,
Yep, right around
pavement,
there,
maybe
130.
50 or 60 of dirt road, and maybe 100, over 100 bridges, culverts, that sort of thing. So it would cost 150, or $1.5 million to dust control all the gravel roads. We already levy the highest levy rate for that goes to secondary roads allowed by the state. That brings in $2.5 million. We've got to maintain that 650 miles of road and all those, yearly. What, we would have to put maintenance on the roads to do that, and I appreciate what you're saying, but the numbers just won't get there.
No, and I appreciate the input and stuff, and I was just trying to maybe help some of the priorities. Like I said, there's $7 million worth of taxation here. If you compare that to Glenmark, for example, it's a dead-end road, and it's paved, it's only got $4 million worth of property on it. So I was just trying to see if it could weasel its way into being higher on the priority list, because I know you're coming up on your planning for that this spring, so that's why I came at this time.
It costs about $2 million a mile to pave a road.
It's a fair request.
Well, I'm not saying paved, I'd love it.
No,
I'd
no,
love it if it got
That'd be
paved.
perfect, wouldn't it?
But
I'm
Plan B
familiar
with
with the
dust
numbers.
control.
I applaud you. Most people's plan B doesn't go immediately to dust control. No, I can't fault the request. I mean, again, this isn't uncommon. And you're not wrong. There are other dead-end roads that are paved, and I don't know why those are paved. I can tell you if they weren't now, they wouldn't be. So, I mean, there's some comparisons there that there's, I guess as I speak, not really a big justification for, but that's just the way the system is we have it now and have had it for a while. So, I actually applaud you for coming down, but seriously, always feel free to call. I'm always open to conversation. It just, we don't always have the answer that everybody would like to hear, and I get that because I live on a gravel road and it is what it is, it's a gravel road. No matter what you do, in the end, it still ends up dusty if it doesn't get treated.
Right.
I mean, no disrespect with the numbers.
One parting comment, this is a good one, your grading crew does a nice job on that road.
I'm glad to hear that, thank
Yeah.
you.
So they
I'll
do
pass it
a
on.
good job.
He's good at what he does, so I'm thrilled to hear that. So, thank you for coming down. Most people wouldn't, so that's actually, I'm impressed.
All right, well.
Okay, with an eye, we're out of here.
Oh, real quick, I told this gentleman I'd pass on his public comment about the public health building, so I'm doing it because I said I would. He wants you guys to know that he thinks that because of the parking shortage downtown, he thinks that the county should hold on to it, tear it down, and build a 3-level parking garage, and possibly even connect it to the 3rd floor with a walkway.
Oh, that sounds great.
So, I did tell him the direction we're already headed, and gave him the reasoning behind it for the costs and everything. He asked me to deliver that to the board, and I told him I would, and I have now done that. And on the coattails of that, I will also tell you that I've talked to the surveyor for the public, and he's gonna go ahead and, they need to confirm that the city had replaced the control monuments I had told you about, but he does have it on his books for starting the work on it. So if you see some surveying going on, Rodney or whatever, that's what's going on. But don't hesitate to call me if anybody has some questions. But that is on their books now, and they'll move forward with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe, the gentleman not looking at our budget, see if we can afford that.
Well, it's the city parking, maybe you could talk to them.
Well, he's
Make
not
it
wrong
buy it.
I
about
like the
difficult
walkway.
for parking, but I did tell him there's a lot of expense there, and
Skywalk.
that was a big part of the challenge, so.
Can we have glass walls?
Yeah.
Okay, now with an eye, we're out here.
Yeah, just
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your concern, really.
Open here.
Yes.
No problem.
He's always so cheap.
Trying to help the priority. You are always, and you're not.